Witness a transformation as modern television filmmaking turns one rather ordinary time and space into an astounding alternate reality. This is the spectacular set of the new sci-fi action series Total Recall 2070, where a new genre of thriller cop show is being created. We're going behind the scenes to meet the stars, the producer, and the special effects wizards to discover how they make our eyes deceive us in wonderful ways. Inspired by the stories of acclaimed sci-fi writer Philip K. Dick, Total Recall and Blade Runner became blockbuster movies starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Harrison Ford. Now, executive producer and creator Art Montorostelli, along with supervising producer Jeff King, bring Total Recall 2070, the series, to television.
The show is really a combination of a number of different influences. It comes from the writing of Philip K. Dick, who wrote the original science fiction story on which Total Recall was based. It comes from things that were the best elements of Total Recall, the movie, for a series, like the recall technology, the thing that can transport you instantly into an experience that's more real than the experience that was real that you just left, the thing that allows lines of reality to blur and shape and change and forms a real bedrock of the show. And it also comes from Art's unique vision of the future, of the near future of Earth, of our world in the year 2070. And a number of events shaped the result that you see here around you, all these buildings and the way people look and talk and feel. And what really happened in the process of creating the show was we reverse engineered from where we wanted to be a series of assumptions that we had in place. El Nino came one year and it never left, and populations changed and began to migrate and moved into the cities from the countryside. When that happened, governments changed because they had to adjust, or couldn't adjust, traditional governments to changing demographics and changing populations. And so gradually what we arrived at were fantastic 200-story cities of the future. And that's where we are right now, even though it's only 40 feet high.
Although the show is, I guess they're calling it a science fiction show, and it certainly has a lot of eye candy and effects. I mean, I look at it as a straightforward cop show. I look at it as NYPD Blue in the future. That's my role. That's my ideal for a show, you know, something of quality, of characters. The fact it's in the future, that's okay, but still a straightforward cop show to me in a lot of ways.
Getting a distinctive vision of the future on film every week takes a wealth of talent on both sides of the camera. See what it takes to turn a Toronto suburb into a battlefield for Martian androids. Next, on the making of Total Recall 2070. On this abandoned military base in a Toronto suburb, humans are battling androids. 1 million square feet of this Cold War orphan has been converted to a futuristic landscape for the production of Total Recall 2070, the series.
We're located in the grounds of what was a former military base. This is Downsview. We're in North York, in Canada. And this is a facility that is 1 million square feet. It's massive, gigantic. It housed at one time the entire stock, the entire Army depot for Eastern Canada until it was moved out. And we arrived here, found this fantastic place, and said this is where we can build a world of the future. And what we've done to surround ourselves with all these buildings and all the contraptions and technology and futuristic doodads and gack that we need, we take all those things and we photograph them and put them on film, and then we extend the streets up and down. When you look up, you see a 200-story city instead of a 3-foot thick concrete ceiling, and we do that using computers. We do it using cutting-edge technology for making feature films that 5 years ago, even 2 or 3 years ago, was impossible to handle. We're doing things, we're calling for effects, calling for a look and a style of production that I couldn't have conceived of doing 5 years ago, but we're making it happen now.
The sets, the costumes, and the lighting of this environment breathes a dark future where technology collides with man. On these streets, the life of Detective David Hume plays out. As a cop in the year 2070, he hunts down killer androids and corners sinister corporate power brokers. Michael Easton, whom you may recognize from Ally McBeal and VR5, plays the leading role. He brings to David Hume a unique style that might be surprising for some sci-fi fans.
Well, they're going to be surprised to find that I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger in any way, shape, or form. He's bigger than life, and he is wonderful at what he does. And I think that's a very movie quality, to be bigger than life. But I think on television shows, maybe bigger than life, and just maybe for this show, doesn't work. I think the story and the ideas are bigger than life. I think this environment they've created is bigger than life, and I'm just a guy in it. And I think, hopefully, I'll be the eyes for the audience.
Played by Carl Pruner.
Talk to me.
Ian Favre is David Hume's new partner, with an unexpected twist.
I've been partnered with an android.
There's almost a convention of having the new partner who is different in some way. Either the new partner is a woman, or the new partner is gay, or the new partner is Hispanic or something. And through the collaboration, people learn about each other.
Get out of my way!
In this case, the partner is not human. The partner is a new kind of thing, this kind of machine intelligence.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, their final bank robbery, they were trapped just like this. They died, Favre. In the end, they're dead. It's impossible. I'm confusing it with another film.
It's a strained relationship. You have a guy who is very human, who's holding on to something from his past, who is holding on to the past itself. And he gets partnered with what he finds out is an android, is his worst nightmare.
I'm standing out there with my pants down, bullets in my head. I want you to do me a favor. Yes. You kill as many men as you can, okay? As many as I can. Why will your pants be down? It's an expression, Favre. It's just an expression.
Cynthia Preston plays Olivia, David Hume's wife, and provides an emotional counterpoint to his exploits on the dangerous streets of the future.
Let's hurry home and you can show me how much is. On the show, there is a great deal of development of the personal side of the main character, David Hume. You know, so they really tried to go in depth to, you know, show his personal life with his wife and our relationship and the certain, you know, the ways we do get along, the strong aspects of the relationship, communication, and certainly love scenes. And also difficulties. We've had certainly, you know, several scenes of you know, marital discord. And it just develops that relationship, which is different for television. I mean, you don't always have the husband and wife relationship. They're usually the cop and the chick of the week. So, you know, here we have the strong relationship, and there is a great deal of time spent, you know, making his life full, making him a well-rounded character.
She represents a lot of things that Hume doesn't, and yet they're in love. And there lies a lot of conflicts. She gives him a different insight than what he has, but he's a real stubborn guy. So, like a lot of relationships, there's things they just don't talk about because they know, hey, that's going to lead to sleeping on the couch tonight. But I like that.
The central conflict centers on the partners facing danger as a team.
The character of David Hume, played by Michael Easton, is kind of Favre's touchstone on how to be a cop, how to be a person. It's David Hume's kind of not by the book, kind of going by hunches, his feel for human situations that is intensely interesting to Favre. You know, how do you do that? What is a hunch? What is a gut feeling? How is it that humans make these associative leaps, right, rather than just sort of dissecting data?
Easy. Easy. What's your name?
Jason.
Jason. You're yearning for this higher consciousness, right? Killing him, that'll make it impossible. He's right. Only humans kill each other out of anger. You can reach beyond that.
In the dark world of 2070, conspiracy is everywhere, and nothing is as it appears. Even Hume and Favre's handlers at the Citizens Protection Bureau have shadowy motives. Michael Rawlins plays Lieutenant Martin Arenthal, David Hume's boss at the CPB.
The Citizens Protection Bureau is it's the equivalent to a modern-day police station. We are one of the 5 divisions of the Interplanetary Council. and we are like the investigative and enforcement arm of the government. You're on front desk duty.
You got us doing walk-ins?
You want me to run interference with the assessor's office? You'll damn well do what you're told to do. You'll find yourself at home warming your couch.
Well, with all due respect,
No
sir.
one is better prepared to deal with Collector and all his internal security nonsense than Callie.
For Matthew Bennett, his character, James Callie, remains enigmatic.
The instinct to avenge a partner's death is something you don't see anymore. You don't really know where James Callie's coming from. I was told this right off the bat. He's on the side of the Angels. That's pretty much all they gave me, then they let me go. I don't believe these events are random occurrences. Why don't you and your partner get over to recall? I'll see that the immigrant couple gets back to the station. I always have an ulterior motive. There's always something else going on. I say something to you, you don't really know how to take it. And do I mean that? And that's interesting to play.
Well, yeah, and how do I know you're not just using me to screw with Collector?
You don't. I will either clean things up so they can get things done, or I will put an obstacle in their way so they can't accomplish what they need to.
Olin Chang is played by Judith Krant.
The android you terminated last night, the same scar. Olin Chang is the forensic pathologist on the show, and she's kind of a jack-of-all-trades scientist. She's a linguist, and she's a code cracker and a computer whiz, and knows a little bit about android psychology, which is fun. And I get to play with all kinds of cool gadgets in my lab. Every episode I'm working on something different.
Behind the scenes of Total Recall 2070, the brilliance of special effects wizards shape a virtual world where the future actually does exist. Next, on the making of Total Recall 2070.
We just take a guy who looks perfectly normal and his mom recognizes him, and after I'm finished with him, his mom's screaming down the hall.
Our city, this city, is the 7th character in the series. It's that important. We decided at the beginning of the development process of this series to set ourselves in a world that people hadn't been in before, to give the audience an experience that they couldn't get tuning in on any other channel on the dial.
It's this city in this huge other city, and day isn't necessarily day, and night isn't necessarily night. So we don't have to work with a lot of those regular justifications of a scene. You know, like if you have a window, it's not necessarily just the sun coming in from above and stuff.
There shouldn't be any conflict.
I signed a security...
One thing that we have consciously decided to do in this show is create a world of the future that very definitely comes out of our present day. So there are a lot of recognizable elements, and that's in, you know, like the buildings and even in the wardrobe. So it's not a future that's in a completely, you know, independent and remote point in time. You know, it's 2070 is when the show is set, and that's, you know, 70 years from now.
You okay?
Yes, thank you. It just melted the hell out of the shoulder pad.
I think it wasn't Hermione.
Yes.
It's easier to identify with a man in a suit or a man on the street in casual clothing than it would be in a man who's in a spandex jumpsuit or something like that. You know he's a cop, he's a detective, he's a beat detective, be it Clouseau or Throughout Time or Bogey or Harrison Ford. The look's been very similar.
Art Montrestelli put together a team that includes me, it includes Gordon Smith, who is one of the leading prosthetic effects people in the world, Gadecki Visual Effects, who are cutting edge, Emmy nominees, Gemini nominees, people who are first-rate in their craft and really, really are doing a tremendous job of bringing the world to this series.
What's the matter with you?
My stomach is,
He's an android, Favre. Get your butt over here.
it looks real enough to me.
Something I said? A lot of my work is with Gordon Smith's special effects. He did a lot of Oliver Stone's movies, Natural Born Killers and JFK, and so it's just incredible work. So a lot of times I'm standing here with this body that looks every bit like a real body, and you know, when we have an android who's died, he's very specific to make sure that the androids look completely different than the humans who die. You know, their synthetic skin is burned in a different way from the human flesh.
The android you terminated last night, the same scar.
So you're saying they might be related?
Related in a way that all human beings are related by a phenomenon known as human consciousness.
It's been really fun. I get some incredible things across my operating table to play with.
Special effects fans, sci-fi fans, they are just so critical. They know the technologies, they look for little seams, they look for illogic. I think it's really cool from a creative standpoint because you get to project the future. All sci-fi stuff like that is really cool like that. But it ties in very, very closely into what I do on a regular daily basis. I deal with building artificial life. I mean, that's what I do every day, you know. It's artificial skins, artificial interiors, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of the android. You know, I'm sure a lot of what I'm doing, and in the real 2070, they'll be using that same technology to build androids. That's this kind of skin they'll be putting on the android.
In Gord's Toronto workshop, special effects history is being made with the creation of a new silicone prosthetic that requires almost no adhesive.
Prosthetics as a norm and how they were first developed were by using urethane foams, which is, you know, like a furniture foam sort of a thing. They're very sophisticated foams, but they're opaque, and you have to paint them to make them look translucent, and you also have to glue them over the entire surface of the actor's face. It's a really offensive, sort of aggressive thing to do to anybody. I mean, imagine covering your whole face in glue. It's a horrible thing, but that's the way it's done. We put on a full facial piece, headpiece, back piece, bald cap, and all the mechanics in probably less than 2 hours, and took it off probably in less than a minute. Now, that process, if you were going to do that in other technology, it would take at least 4 hours to put it on, and it would take a half an hour to an hour to take it off. The technology involved is as state-of-the-art as you can possibly get. I mean, you witnessed for the first time ever a prosthetic that went down with no adhesives and is reusable.
Transforming the physical reality of a soundstage into a three-dimensional city of immense proportions takes all the magic of the latest technology in green screening, computer software, and motion control cameras.
Essentially, just like you would make a model with your hands, these are models that are made in the computer. And as you can see, all these buildings here, these are all CGI models. And then as we come up, we go into the live action footage. And you can see now you've got people walking around. And this is a shot in progress. So eventually, up where that grid was, you'll see more buildings going up and into the sky. This next scene is a little different than the other ones. It's a scene where they're doing an autopsy on a dead android. And so to make it more real, we have a live actor playing the android, and we also have a prosthetic head. You can see it's just a simple little lump shaped in the shape of a head, and she peels that back. There's no actor over here right now because we haven't put him in. I'll show you the plate with the actor as well. It's a guy lying on a table. There he is right there, and the move is the same. The camera's just following along in the same way that it was programmed to, and you can see he does have a real head and all the rest. And what we would do then is we would take it into our compositing package and put the two together.
That whole relationship is a complete knot. It has to tie, all those elements have to tie. The stunt people, the CG people. There's nothing I do that I don't involve the CG people in. If I don't involve them, you know, from a dialogue point of view, I'm thinking about how they can help me, how I can help them. And we're always We're always playing back and forth there.
David Hume and Ian Farr prepare to challenge the omnipotent power of the Recall Corporation. That's coming up next on The Making of Total Recall 2070. The feature-length pilot episode of Total Recall 2070 introduces us to the world of David Hume. When his longtime Citizens Protection Bureau partner is killed, the murder is linked to rogue androids and the use of illegal technology by the Recall Corporation.
Is it true? Is it true about Nikki? How could that happen? I mean, the androids are not programmed for violence. This is not supposed to happen.
This is his charge with attempted kidnapping. Tried to grab a kid in the mall.
But we've got another problem.
What's that?
This file's been corrupted.
This is all mistake. It's a terrible, terrible mistake.
Barbara's your new partner. This guy's qualified to go after rogue androids?
We're not going after androids.
The androids were after him.
Why do you say that?
I don't believe these events are random occurrences. And I don't believe Mr. Collector is telling us everything he knows.
We went on holiday to Galapagos.
Took a holiday to the Galapagos Islands.
See the giant sea turtle.
Did you take a recall vacation, Mr. Suter?
Recall.
I thought you were off this case.
Guess what? I'm back on it. And I want to see Gish.
He's on his way to Mars.
Son of a bitch. Exactly.
This has nothing to do with recall.
Prove it. Galapagos is the key to everything.
What have they done with you?
You have a son named Tab.
Morales has a location on a rogue android. He thinks it might be the one that killed Blanche. I want that android taken alive, and I want to know what the hell is going on.
You know why I'm here.
We've lost all communication with the Mars facility.
If anything goes wrong up there, what happens to the boy?
They'll kill him. They'll kill him as soon as they get what they need from Gish.
Looks like you gentlemen are going to Mars.
Keeping the sharpness and keeping the originality is important. Finding the next great new effect, finding the next new vision, finding the story that pushes your characters to a new limit that they haven't already crossed, and keeping the principles of the series, the inspiration of Philip Dick's writing and the technology of the recall chair and the recall experience, and bonding all of that within Art's unique vision of the world of 2070. That's the challenge every week. As good as we get at it, we're never going to be perfect, and we can always be better.